He didn't expect to be humiliated in front of everyone, especially not by the man who once saluted him. But when Commander Hayes insulted the quiet Navy SEAL and his dog during a routine inspection, something inside that soldier broke. Not in anger, but in silent, controlled resolve. Because that SEAL wasn't just another operative. He was the one who had once saved the commander's life. And this time, justice was about to come full circle. Where in the world are you watching from? I'd love to know. And if stories like this inspire you, hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more coming your way. Jake Turner had always been the kind of man who spoke more with his eyes than with words. A Navy SEAL K-9 handler, decorated for bravery and known for his unmatched discipline. His dog, Shadow, a black Belgian Malinois with golden eyes, was more than a partner. He was family. Together, they had saved countless lives overseas. Locating explosives, tracking insurgents, and dragging wounded soldiers out of chaos. But now, back at the naval base in Virginia, Jake felt more out of place than ever. The war was over, but the battles inside him hadn't ended. He spent his mornings training Shadow, keeping their bond strong. While most officers treated him like a ghost, quiet, distant, invisible. That is, until Commander Hayes arrived. Hayes was new, ambitious, and desperate to make an impression. He had no real combat experience, but he wore his medals like they were earned in blood. The kind of man who led with arrogance instead of example. From the first day, Hayes made it clear. He didn't like Jake. Maybe it was the silence. Maybe it was the way Jake carried himself, calm but unyielding. Or maybe it was because Shadow refused to obey Hayes' commands, something that bruised his ego in front of the platoon. One humid morning during inspection, Hayes barked orders across the field. When he stopped in front of Jake and Shadow, he smirked. "So this is the famous SEAL with the dog. You two think you're special?" Jake stood still. "No, sir. Just doing our job." "Your job?" Hayes scoffed. "Your job is to follow orders, not act like you run this place. That mud of yours looks like he belongs in the pound, not the Navy." The field went silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. Shadow's ears perked up. Jake said nothing, his jaw tightening. He knew how to take insults. But hearing his partner, his brother, disrespected, cut deeper than he expected. Hayes grinned. "What's wrong, SEAL? Can't speak? I heard you used to bark louder when you were overseas." Must have gotten soft. Laughter broke among a few nervous recruits. Jake looked at him, steady. "Permission to speak freely, sir." Hayes waved a hand. "Go ahead." Jake's voice was low, calm, but it carried weight. "Respect is earned, sir." "Not ordered?" For a moment, no one breathed. Hayes' smirk vanished. "Detain him." He barked at the MPs nearby. "Let's teach this hero some humility." But before they could move, a voice echoed across the field, a sharp, commanding tone that froze everyone. "Stand down." Every soldier turned. A black SUV had pulled up near the base office, and stepping out was Admiral Ross, the regional operations head. Hayes' face paled. The Admiral walked toward Jake, his gaze firm. "Petty Officer Turner." "At ease?" Jake saluted. Shadow sat obediently beside him, eyes focused. Ross turned to Hayes. "Commander, would you care to explain why one of my best SEALs and his K-9 are being harassed during training?" Hayes stammered. "Sir, it was just a disciplinary review." He was out of line. Ross' expression didn't change. "Out of line? You mean the same man who led the rescue in Kandahar? The same SEAL who carried 3 wounded men under fire when the enemy ambushed your convoy? Or have you forgotten, Commander, that one of those men was you?" The air went cold. Hayes' lips parted, speechless. Ross stepped closer. "You owe your life to this man and his dog. And you think you can humiliate them on my base?" Jake remained silent, his eyes fixed on a distant flag fluttering in the wind. Ross turned to the MPs. "Commander Hayes is to be detained pending investigation. Charges: abuse of authority, harassment, and falsifying field credentials." "Take him." As the handcuffs clicked around Hayes' wrists, his eyes darted toward Jake. The same man he mocked was now watching him fall apart, not out of revenge, but justice. When Hayes was led away, Ross placed a hand on Jake's shoulder. "You've always been quiet, Turner, but your actions have spoken louder than any man's words. Don't ever change that." Jake nodded. "Thank you, sir." As the crowd dispersed, Shadow nudged Jake's hand, sensing his partner's calm returning. The two walked toward the horizon, not as heroes seeking applause, but as brothers who knew silence carried more power than any rank. Later that evening, Jake sat by the docks, watching the sunset burn across the sky. Shadow lay beside him, tail gently thumping Dot. He thought about everything: the missions, the scars, the arrogance of men who forgot what service truly meant. In the end, it wasn't medals, titles, or uniforms that made a soldier. It was loyalty. To your team. To your truth. To your soul. Jake whispered softly. "We did good today, buddy." Shadow looked up, eyes gleaming in the fading light. Somewhere inside, Jake finally felt peace, not because his bully was punished, but because he stayed true to himself without lifting a finger in hate. Real strength, he realized, isn't in fighting every battle. It's in choosing which ones are worth your soul. And sometimes, the loudest justice is silence. What did this story make you feel? Where are you watching from? Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more real stories that heal the heart.